Hello, beautiful friends. I'm trying something a little new today. I am giving a talk on the topic of the Greek muses. I'm going to talk a little bit about just a high-level overview of their history, and then I'm going to tell you about my experience with invoking the muses. So, why would we want to invoke the muses? Well, traditionally, the muses have been invoked to help bring an artist knowledge, inspiration, a sense of purpose, and a drive to accomplish their creative goals. Muses have existed in the collective unconscious from time immemorial. The concept of the muses have been depicted in sculptures, petroglyphs, and oral traditions by many ancient civilizations. The most ubiquitously documented is that of the 9 muses of ancient Greece. According to Hellenic mythology, the 9 sisters were the daughters of the king of the gods, Zeus, and Nezume, the goddess of memory. They were considered to be the divine source of inspiration, creativity, knowledge, and they were known to grant these gifts to those who worshipped and invoked them properly. The ancient Greeks worshipped the muses by dedicating their art, their music, their poetry to them, and often many made the pilgrimage to the festival of Musea, which was held in their honor every 4 years. So the best documented invocation of the muses is that of poets making their invocations at the beginning of epic poems. And perhaps the most famous case is that of in Homer's Iliad. So I will post that at the end of the video, and I'll also be doing a reading of my most favorite modern example of that tradition by Clark Ashton Smith. So let's see, modern artists continue the tradition of invoking the muses as a psychological, philosophical, or religious way to enhance their creative experiences. And a couple of the more famous examples are Tom Waits, who's been known to talk to and even yell at his muses in the music studio, as well as Tori Amos, who actually sees them, and the fantastic author Stephen Pressfield also does an invocation to the muses. I actually was inspired, and I knew nothing about this until I read his book, The War of Art, which I recommend highly if you haven't read that. So after reading that book, I was inspired to try it. So I'll go ahead and tell you about my experience and how that went. So I was playing with a band I guess it's been about a year ago, maybe a little more. And I decided to go ahead and try this invocation of the muses. And of course, I got consent from my bandmates to just take a moment and let me do this weird thing, right? So they agreed to just give a moment of silence while I made a loud and passionate plea to the muses to please use me as their conduit for the greater good and for the creation and expression of art to flow through me. And my bandmates were very accommodating, and so we had a moment, and then we continued to go on stage. And that evening's performance was remarkable. I definitely felt myself step aside. So instead of being the person trying to make the music or control it, I felt that I was a conduit, and I let it flow through me and out into the audience, and it was one of the best musical experiences that I've ever had. So the only thing I think I would do a little differently is I would perhaps be a little more specific with my request, because the creativity did not stop flowing after the performance was over. As a matter of fact, I stayed up all night using the footage that we had taken from our performance, and I created a music video, which turned out awesome, and I'll send a link for that too. But yeah, I felt pretty exhausted the next day. As my friend Hart always says, the muse beats the Sandman every time. So yeah, if you decide to give it a try, maybe ask for a specific time period or a specific project because when that creativity starts flowing, it's powerful. Let me know if you decide to try it. I would love to hear what your experience is. So, as I mentioned earlier, I am going to do a reading of my favorite modern example of the Invocation of the Muses, and this is from Clark Ashton Smith's first volume of short stories, The Collected Fantasies. And hopefully I won't butcher this. I'll give it a try. It's beautiful. Oh. Tell me many tales, O benign, maleficent demon, but tell me none that I have ever heard or ever even dreamt of otherwise than obscurely or infrequently. Nay, tell me not of anything that lies between the bournes of time or the limits of space, for I am a little weary of all recorded years and charted lands, and the isles that are westward of Cathay and the sunset realms of Ind are not remote enough to be made the abiding place of my conceptions. And Atlantis is over new for my thoughts to sojourn there, and Mu itself has gazed upon the sun in eons that are too recent. Tell me many tales, but let them be of things that are past the lore of legend, and of which there are no myths in our world or any world adjoining. Tell me, if you will, of the years when the moon was young, with siren-rippled seas, and mountains were zoned with flowers from the base to the summit. Tell me of the planets gray with eld, of the world whereon no mortal astronomer has ever looked, and whose mystic heavens and horizons have given pause to visionaries. Tell me of the vaster blossoms, within whose cradling chalice a woman could sleep, of the seas of fire that beat on strands of ever-burning ice, of perfumes that can give eternal slumber in a breath, of eyeless titans that dwell in Uranus, and beings that wander in the green light of the twin suns of azure and orange. Tell me tales of inconceivable fear and unimaginable love, in orbs whereto our sun is a nameless star, or unto which its rays have never reached. Thank you.